him.
He was.
He is what happened. He killed the Cure, and now he must die.
Well, we are here with Adam Moseley. Hi, Adam.
Hey, good to see you again.
How are you?
Welcome to my house. Welcome to my studio.
It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Of course, you're welcome.
In the recent podcast that we have recorded, Adam told me and he promised me that he was going to talk me about the production process and recording process of Close to Me.
Yeah, the Cure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we will. We'll hang out.
I am here. I'm finally here to hear you.
So now I have to keep my promise.
Yeah, you have to keep your promise.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for inviting us, and it's a pleasure to be here, an honor. And yeah, if you can talk us more about this song that is amazing.
Oh yeah, happy to. So making Close to Me by The Cure was a very interesting situation. I was in the process. I'd finished one record. I had one day off before I start another record, and my friend Dave Allen, who absolute genius, mad scientist, producer for The Cure. He did all of their hits, all of their early albums.
Wow.
Genius guy, and the most perfect match ever of Dave Allen and Robert Smith. So I'd worked with Dave on some other records, engineering and mixing with him. And then he asked me, he said that he was coming to Trident to do the vocals and all the extra things. They had the basic track done. They had the drums, the main synth parts, but we had to do everything else. And we kind of had a day to do it. Wow. So I had one day, all I wanted to do was sleep. And Dave said, will you do this, with me? And I thought, I need to sleep. I need a break. I start another album tomorrow. And I thought, but it's The Cure. They're cool. I thought it would be good on my discography to have The Cure.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So I thought, okay, it's my day off, but I'll do this. So we're at the studio, waiting, and the band don't arrive. And it's 1 hour, 2 hours. So I said, Dave, are they coming? He said, yeah, mate, they'll be here. Don't worry, they're going to come, yeah. So I said, okay, wait another hour. No band. I said, do you really need me here? And he said, yeah, mate, I need something like special. And I said, okay, what? He said, the video is going to be in a wardrobe. The wardrobe goes over a cliff, and the video will be inside the wardrobe with water coming in, and they have their feet in each other's faces, and it's very claustrophobic. And he said it needs to sound like that. So he explained the whole video, and this was already becoming a big part of my process, was to visualize.
Yeah, the vision.
But to visualize either the sound of the end result or create the sound of what the visual was in this case. Many times later with Roxette, with other artists where I had a hit, with the Blow Monkeys, my first hit as a producer, my process was very much about visualizing. Imagine the video or visualize the drawing of the song, and then create the parts and choose the colors. With this song, the band didn't arrive. So after 4 hours, I said to Dave, I hadn't seen my partner for months because I was on a record.
Yeah, of course.
I said, I'm going to get her to come to the studio. I'll go for a meal to a restaurant around the corner. When the band arrive, send the T-boy.
Yeah.
I'll come straight back.
Of course.
Went and had a meal. No one came for me. I came back to the studio, 6 hours, still no band. Eventually, after 8 hours, the band arrived.
Wow.
Completely drunk.
That's a reason why they...
Yeah. And soon after, they all became sober and got everything back in place. But back then, they drank a lot. In the meantime, I was thinking the video is going to be in a wardrobe, and all the band will be in a wardrobe, so it has to sound like you're in a wardrobe.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel claustrophobic, so it has to sound claustrophobic.
Yeah.
So I got 4 of the big stands, the gobo screens. Sometimes they have a window in them, sometimes they're just solid. So I got 4 of the solid ones with no window, and I made a box. And then at Trident we had a lid that we could put on top, a wooden lid, for isolation for a guitar amp or bass amp. So I put the lid on top, and I put, I think, a 67 or an 87 inside. So when Robert Smith arrived, I put him in a box. No windows.
Yeah, like the video.
Yeah. And so there was no air, so it sounded like in a wardrobe, but also he felt claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And that was the important thing, because producing is often like method acting. You know, you have to put the performer, the actor or the singer in the state of mind to deliver the purpose of the song. And I put him in the box. He was so drunk, I don't think he noticed. But unbelievably, he did the vocals like 2 or 3 takes, straight down. And then all the way through the song, he's doing syncopated breathing. So he's doing rhythmic all the way. And I think I recorded 2 or 3 different tracks of him just doing the breathing so that we could have it like stereo. And also before the band came, I said to Dave, so what else? And he said, well, you know, Robert Smith, he'll do lots of kind of like funny noises. And I said, what do you mean? And Dave Allen did the best impersonation of Robert Smith, even better than Robert Smith would do. And he like came to my ears and he went, oh, it's going to be like, and he did it right in my ear. And he said, it needs to sound like this. It needs to sound like it's in your ear.
Yeah.
So that's also what motivated me to build the box. And Robert Smith, he did all the vocals, he did all the syncopated breathing, then we did all the hand claps and everything. He did all of that perfect, you know.
Yeah.
But he did all of that, double tracked it. I don't think I did that in the box, but with the screens I made a slightly bigger space to get a little bit more air. And then we did the hand claps. Just so I could get a bit of separation from the sound of the voice. So the hand claps would have a slightly more middly kind of frequency. Because even now, I can't believe how warm the sound is. Of course, we were on tape. And this was the very last song that I recorded at Trident in London on the A-Range console. And the song before this was the song by the Blow Monkeys, Digging Your Scene. That was my first international hit as a producer. And then we did this song. So once we'd done all of that, I remember saying to Dave that I loved the sound of the synth going bing, 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 bing. Said, it sounds brilliant. It sounds so cheap. And he was really upset. And he was like, mate, we spent 2 days getting that sound.
And you said it was cheap.
Yeah, and they spent 2 days. But the sound is perfect. And I think I said it sounds like a comb, like a hair comb, which in the video, I think it's Lowell is playing like a comb for that thing. And then I said, what else? And Dave said, well, we're going to put horns on it. Just before this, I'd been working with the horn section from Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
And everything was like
fast.
Fast, tight, really precise, really punchy. And so I know that's part of why he wanted me. He knew I could craft the sound for Robert Smith, but also for the horns. So the 2 horn players arrived, trumpet and tenor sax. And there's a few mixes of the song. One doesn't have horns. Another one only has the soloing horns. But we also did horns that are playing the ba-ba-da-ba-da-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da-da, bap, bap, bap,
Yeah.
that are playing that. And when the horn players came in, their playing wasn't that tight. They hadn't heard the song, so they didn't know. Dave didn't want them to know the song before. So they weren't playing very tight, and their sound was very kind of like old, kind of warm,
Yeah.
very round sound. And I said to Dave, you know, what do you want from this? And he said, it's meant to sound like a New Orleans funeral band. So it's meant to sound kind of a bit old and very warm and very round and not very tight,
Okay.
not very together,
Okay.
because they're like walking in the street playing the band.
Yeah.
That was the thing. The genius of Robert Smith, if you listen to the song, right from the beginning, he's singing the horn line. He introduces it. Robert Smith had such an incredible sense of pop. So early in the song, right nearly from the beginning, you hear him sing, ba-ba-da-ba-da-da. You hear him singing it.
Yeah.
So he's introducing the hook really early on. And then that's what we did with the horns, and they played that part and I recorded it. I probably double tracked it on tape. So we had the horns down and for the main part, and then I said, what else? And Dave says, well, I need the trumpet and the tenor sax to trade off, you know, to solo against each other.
Yeah.
Or with each other, in between each other. So I took over and we did a few takes, but it wasn't really happening. We were really tight on time because everything had gone so late. So time was a real factor. So after a few goes, I said, you know what, I'm going to cut the vocals. I'm just going to play the song 3 times, play anything. You don't have to necessarily play off of each other and respond. Just play. You got separate tracks. I isolated them and said, just give me anything.
Just play.
Yeah. Start to end, no vocals, just play. So they played a lot of really cool phrases, but they were kind of a bit random and they weren't really gelling. I got my 3 tracks down of them and I said, great, thanks guys, you know, excellent. Done. Because of time. So they left and then I thought, oh my God,
What am I going to
now what have I got to do here? So literally I went through the different takes and I made a note of like trumpet, take 1 minute 15, second phrase, 2 middle notes, put a circle. Take 1 at 50 seconds, there's a series of 4 notes, which would be great for an opening phrase. So then I marked them. So then what I had to do, because we were on 24-track machine, so I had to play the part of the trumpet, for instance, that I wanted, transfer it and record it on a 2-track machine and record the few notes I wanted, then go to the place in the song where I wanted those notes to start a phrase, play the 24-track, punch into record, press the 2-track, punch out a record, but also you had to position the 2-track so that it didn't go, you know, and start up. You had to advance it, put it behind enough. Yeah, and then time it, and not just get notes on the 24-track, but get the rhythm and the intention. So then I did that, and it's like, great, I have the first 2 notes of the first trumpet phrase. So then I found the next few notes that I thought would work to make the phrase, transferred them, played, recorded back in, punched in after the first 2, punched back out, then assembled the first trumpet phrase. And I thought, great, first trumpet phrase. Now I need to get the tenor sax to respond. So then I had to go through and make my notes of the tenor sax. Same process, transfer 24-track to the 2-track, play it back, punch in, punch out, and construct a tenor sax phrase, not just that worked, but naturally sounded like it responded in the dynamic and in the moment, responded to the trumpet. And that's how I put the horns together.
Today, that situation...
In Pro Tools or Ableton or Logic.
5 minutes,
Yeah, boom, 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 grab, you know, copy, paste. Even for timing, you can look at the kick drum, take the notes in line with the kick drum, look at the place you want, line it with the kick drum there, drop it in. If it doesn't work, nudge it a little bit, plus or minus. Really was simple. But you're still dealing with performance played in time. Putting it off the tape, you had to anticipate on the 2-track the pickup time and how long before the notes hit the playback head, and making sure that you were in the right position, because then you had to punch into record after what you'd already recorded, what you'd constructed, so you didn't want to punch in early.
Of course.
Yeah. So, and again, punching in on tape, if the tape's traveling at 30 inches per second, you have to anticipate 75 milliseconds because the record head comes before the playback head. Yeah. So what it records is before you hear it recording.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
And then we were kind of done. 2 days later, I bumped into Robert Smith and I said, "Oh man, I just got to say what you did the other day was like effing amazing." And he looked at me confused and he went, what song was it? So he didn't remember recording the song.
Wow.
No, he didn't remember it. Which I got to say is just further proof of his genius. Yeah. Seriously, to this day, I'm so impressed by the genius of Robert Smith. So we made the record, great. And then I thought, I've worked with The Cure, that's fantastic. We've made probably the most pop song that The Cure had made. Yeah. And before this was released, the single before was In Between Days, which I loved. I never knew I would work with them. When In Between Days came out, I loved it because you have 50 seconds of just guitar before the song starts. And in those days, you could never have that. No. In those days for radio, you had to hit the first chorus by 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds. Okay. Which is why all Beatles songs, all Motown songs always started with the chorus. Get the chorus in at front, you've then sold the song, the listeners had the hook, and radio have had the hook, so that the listener won't get bored and change station.
And radio will play it.
Yeah. So, which is the genius again of Robert Smith, because from the beginning he's singing ba-ba-da-ba-da-da, he's singing the hook. So afterwards, we'd made the record, and I thought, oh my God, I've made the most pop song that The Cure have ever made, and people are going to hate it. I thought, people are going to hate this so much, because even like Love Cats was poppy, but it was kind of a bit S&M and a little bit kind of quirky. I thought they're going to hate the song, they're going to stop following The Cure, the band is going to break up, it's going to be the end of the band. People are going to look at the record and think, what happened? And for the first time, they'll see my name on a Cure record and they'll think, him.
He was.
He is what happened. He killed the Cure and now he must die. And seriously, in my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, my career is over. I thought, I'm done. I'm going to have to leave the country. I thought, everything is over. I seriously, I went into a depression for about 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thinking my career is done. This song will be a hit because it's so poppy and everyone's going to hate it. Of course, it was a hit. No one hated it. Everyone loved it. 40 years, we're talking about this 40 years later. 40 years. And it's still a song that a lot of people know, a lot of people love. Whenever I was in Chile or Mexico and you're at a club and this comes on, people go crazy. They go, if it's The Cure or the Smiths, people go crazy.
How do you feel when that happens? You are in a place and you hear the song.
Yeah, I love it. I worked on it 10 years before my son was born. When my son was 10 years old, so 20 years later, he'd come home from school with his friends. One friend would have the Robert Smith t-shirt on, with the big hair and the lipstick. Another of his friends, the phone rang, and this was his ringtone. And he didn't know I did the song. And that was already 20 years later. And then, late 10 years later, my son was at university in New York, and I'd get a phone call like 3 a.m, like, "Dad, I'm in a club, have a listen, can you hear what they're playing?" And he'd hold the phone up and they'd be playing this. So it's been amazing. I thought it was the record that would end my career, but probably I've been asked to work on more records with bands because of this song than any other record.
Of course.
I've been making music for 47 years now, and this actually changed things for the better. It didn't end things.
There's a lot of people, I think, that they are searching their hit.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah. Have a clear vision and just be true to yourself. I don't think Robert Smith ever sat down and thought, I have to write a hit. He just was true to himself with the rest of the band and just was honest and wrote what he felt. He learned his craft. He learned how to write a really good song. Even maybe in his subconscious, he understood structure. He understood dynamics. And then he understood the visual of a song. So many times in this song, the visual was very clear. I knew what the end video would be, so I had to make the music and the sound of Robert Smith, I had to make it fit for the visual. And just before this, I did the Blow Monkeys, and while we recorded the first hit, Digging Your Scene, myself and Robert, the lead singer, as we were making the song with the band, we were like coming up with ideas, and we decided we want to do a cheesy video in a really bad club. The video is great, have a look, Digging Your Scene by the Blow Monkeys. But we decided, and as we made the record, we created the video for the song. So every idea was total concept. I think what makes a hit, one is when you're honest to a feeling, people will relate to it. If your music is faking a feeling, people are going to hear it's fake. They're going to hear you don't really mean it. You know. But when people hear that the artist really means what they're doing, even if it's a fun song about going out and partying all night, make it sound like you want to go out and party all night. Pharrell did pretty good.
That's a feeling.
With that. Yeah. So just be 100%. The more you can visualize the end result of your song, maybe see the video or see the artwork, think about, how do I want this song to feel? Making a beautiful, warm, dreamy soundscape shoegazer kind of mix, or making a very, post-punk energy up front in your face kind of mix. The more you have total concept, the more chance people will hear your song and think, this is genuine, this is real, and I get it. I've worked on so many songs that I thought would be an absolute hit, and they weren't, And then I've worked on other songs that I didn't expect would be a hit, and they were. You can't always guess, you can't always know. When you're working on a song with an artist, and again, as the producer and or the engineer and the band or the artist, if you all have total concept about what you're trying to achieve, there's a much more chance that people will hear it and relate to it and want to hear it again, because it makes them feel a certain way.
Well, I want to thank you because I like that song a lot. Thank you for telling us all the story of the song.
Oh, I'm happy to. And go listen to the song, see if you can hear the funny squeaky mouse noises.
We will.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure as always.
And if you think this video could be useful for someone who wants to learn more about the story of Close to Me, The Cure, and Adam Moseley, don't hesitate to share it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye.